Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of The Square Window, the podcast that takes us on a nostalgic trip back to our childhood and the golden age of kids' TV. I'm Gareth, and I'm your host, and I can't believe this is episode 12. The last couple of weeks, the last couple of months have gone past in a blur. I've really enjoyed this, and I can't believe that this is the last episode of the first series. We'll be going on a little break this Christmas, and I'm going to be catching up on recording the second series soon. So I've got a bunch of new guests, a bunch of recurring guests, and a load of new old shows to talk about for series 2. But for this episode, I'm going to be talking to Emlyn Davies. Emlyn's the founder and the executive creative director of BOMPER Studios, a boutique animation studio based in Caerphilly in South Wales. I've been really looking forward to this episode today because this show that Emlyn's chosen is one of my absolute favourites. And the show we're going to talk about today is the classic Thundercats. So join us as we take a trip through the square window. Hey Emlyn, thank you for coming on the show.
Hello, nice to meet you.
You too. So before we started, I did a little introduction to yourself and the fact that you're talking about one of my favourites today, Thundercats. I've been looking forward to this one. But do you want to give a little sort of explainer as to why you chose Thundercats in particular?
It's got to be probably the greatest intro ever to any TV series ever in the world ever. That's the reason. It literally pulls you in from the get-go. And yeah, obviously nostalgia's a beautiful beast. So like every time I think about it, it just like brings back amazing memories as a child, growing up. But yeah, I just loved it. It was just yeah, it captures my 80s childhood.
Awesome. It's and we'll definitely get onto the theme tune later, and the theme tunes are becoming a big part of each episode, to be honest with you. But yeah, this is the theme tune. This is one of those shows that's straight in. No, there's no messing around. You know what you're going to expect. The action, the excitement of it, and this one. Whenever I hear the theme tune, it takes me straight back to the 80s, like a good piece of music should really. So paint a picture for the audience as to where you grew up, how you interacted with the television. Was it a big part of your family? Did your family used to sit around watching shows? What shows were those? Anything like that, really?
Yeah. So I grew up in the valleys, in the Welsh valleys, in a tiny village called Cascade, or Penfederiel, as it's kind of mainly called now. Yeah, I was born in 1980, so was just. I think TV for us was a big deal because it was just it was the box that you saw the outside world in. So there was no we used to listen to the wireless, as my grandparents used to call it, once in a while, the radio. But like the TV was that kind of that thing that showed you the rest of the world. And yeah, it was just constant intrigue. But we had such a, like, looking back now, we had such a small variety of things. I think we had 4 channels at the time, and then sometimes we wouldn't get that.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think that in, like, was it like early 90s then, like Channel 5 came in and stuff. So we had
That's right.
such a small kind of window of channels. And obviously the audience numbers must have been insane for these
Yeah.
programs, considering like now when you look at the amount of volume of stuff that you can watch. And obviously we didn't have on demand either, unless you had a VHS or a Betamax, if you were, if it was quite swish. But yeah, I don't think we had like a video recorder until probably like mid late 80s, I would have thought.
Yeah, same.
So yeah, it was very much that the TV was that thing where you just saw the outside world, and obviously it was so much more sexy and fun and exciting than what was
Welsh
happening in the
valleys.
valleys. Yeah, so, yeah,
Yeah, I can
yeah,
vouch for that.
yeah, exactly. So we just used to go out on bikes and stuff, and yeah, just I had a very lucky kind of childhood, I'd say. And
Yeah,
And I think
Completely
that helps
agree.
with the nostalgia because you think back and you're like, I didn't have to worry about anything. We used to do, just go out and yeah, didn't have a care in the world. So yeah, it kind of that ties into probably why I love it so much.
Oh, amazing. Hit the nail on the head, but then, and really by saying it, the window to the outside world. And yeah, I mean, I'm just a couple of years older than you, and like it's like when I was hitting TV age, really little, we had the three channels, before
Mm,
Channel 4 and S4C hit, and it was, but it always seemed like there was always something available, you know what I mean? There was always something to watch, even though
yeah,
we had like small pockets of time after school. If when you were preschool, or if you were off ill,
yeah.
the lunch times, and then at Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, and little pockets of Saturdays
Yeah.
between the horse racing and the football results and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And they yeah, but like now, obviously, like shows are just like it's like waves hitting the shores, and they just hit and they gone.
It's just
And
everywhere, yeah. And
yeah,
yeah, looking back, realizing how much it was dominated by American shows as well.
yes, that's a
Like
good
everything,
point.
like it was like everything from Transformers to Knight Rider. Street Hawk was one of my favorites. It's
Mm.
probably the reason I have a motorbike now. It's just one of those things. Um, and there's things like there was loads of stuff. Everything was American when you look back,
Yeah.
and you just don't realize at the time. But yeah, had a quite a big effect on a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, it's quite. Um, I'm about midway through now the first sort of series of recordings of episodes, and a lot of the shows that have been chosen have been American, and
Mm,
so you look back, and even though we were surrounded by a lot of homegrown things like Danger Mouse and Count Duckula and stuff like that, but the ones that really stick out as I really focused on. You're talking a Master of the Universe,
yep,
Transformers,
yep,
Action Force, Thundercats.
yeah,
Whether that was because the sheer commercial push behind them as well, the fact that you could get toys for all of those shows, but you'd be stuck looking for a Danger Mouse toy,
yeah, 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 yeah.
or anything like that. Obviously, like we're in the when we're focusing on the American shows, we are really looking at the syndication drives to sell toys. And Thundercats is a great example of that, because it came after the shows that led the way for that, with things like Transformers. Well, I say He-Man
Yeah,
first, and then Transformers, and they
yeah, yeah,
sort
yeah,
of they proved the way for showing, we can sell toys with these shows. And
yeah.
then Thundercats came along, and what an amazing set of toys, because it wasn't just the characters who were a chunky size figure, but the vehicles were
Oh, the vehicles
amazing.
are amazing. The Thunder Tank was just, yeah,
Yes.
the greatest.
Thunder Tank, the ultimate attack machine. Put Lion-O at the controls. Thunder Tank, instantly armed for battle. Laser guns, stun guns, mechanical jaws.
Release the boulders and crush the Thundercats!
Nothing can stop Thunder Tank. Thunder Tank and figures each sold separately. New from LJN.
And yeah, I always remember like my mother she went to London. It's such a big deal. She went to
Yeah.
London to get me Optimus Prime, and it was the
Awesome.
the amazing one that was like I think it was 80, 84, 85 was around there. I
Yeah.
think it was, and it was just like it was all made of solid metal. It was
Yeah.
like really heavy kind of industrial thing. And yeah, and I remember going like, telling me years later, well, I had to go to London to go and get that because they couldn't get it anywhere. They'd sold out in everywhere. It was hard to get. Like you don't get that as much now. You did get it with some
No.
toys with kids. Like I've got three
Yeah.
kids as well, so you get it once in a while where like Tickle Me Elmo was like a thing where you couldn't get them
Yeah.
for love nor money. But yeah, that back then they were like toys that were just going to London was a big deal in
Yeah.
83, 84, wherever it was.
My mother still tells the story now of having to queue with my nan in Toys R Us in Cardiff to get a Castle Grayskull.
Oh, the
It's
Castle
like,
Grayskull as well was so good.
class.
Yeah, my brother had that. So my parents divorced when I was about 3 or 4, I think it was,
Right.
and then my father had other children, and yeah, my brother had Castle Grayskull, so he used to love like going down and we just like play
Nice.
He-Man figures all day long and stuff. So yeah,
I think
Love
that's a lot of the nostalgia with it as well, is that we were of an age young enough to still be sort of imaginatively playing,
Yes.
in the playground. I'd have my
Yeah.
mates would come round, you'd always have like figure clashes and things like that.
Yeah.
And so those shows, Thundercats being a perfect example, were really rich in allowing, like you said, a window to the outside, but these sort of things, we hadn't experienced them. The American shows always were just that sort of bigger universes, bigger,
Yeah.
and you'd have things again, my go-to was always Danger Mouse or things like that, which were, and Super Ted, and they were great, but it was the American shows that really, they took you out to space and, took you to different worlds and things like that. And that's why Thundercats is a perfect example to talk about how, that imagination, that universe building. Because I found it was one of the few shows that the lore of it was so rich and easily explainable,
I think that's a lot of the shows back then. When you look back, it was really simple. It was like good versus evil. Like
Yeah.
nearly every show was good versus evil, and they were really easy to kind of get an idea what was happening very quickly. So you could probably drop into an episode 4 or 5 in, and you still understood the premise. Like, well, these are the good guys. This is the bad guy. At some point, the bad guy loses, and then there's a turn to the camera, and you get your nice little kind of, don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
That kind of
Yeah.
like random thing you'd come from nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what the hell? What?
Yeah. Throw this in because we're making millions off these kids, but so let's make sure now that it's educational for them.
Yeah.
Don't touch electric pylons, kids.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, some really random stuff would pop in once in a while. You'd be like, what did I just see at the end of that then? What was that?
It's brilliant because looking back, I've been doing loads of research now into old shows, catching up with shows I haven't seen in donkey's years. And I completely forgot about this whole American thing of adding the moral at the end of the show.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and it was
the character just like, yeah, and they're talking and like, and then they start talking. And you're like, what the?
Yeah,
oh, broke the fourth wall.
Well, yeah, because straight away they'd be like talking to you, and it'd be awkward, massive universe. And I was like, whoa, hang on, your brain wasn't, didn't realize where the fourth wall, but it's like, hang on, they're talking to me now. Where'd this come from?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But and they did it on everything. They did on. I think they started with G.I. Joe, and then it was He-Man. I don't ever remember them doing it in Transformers, which I'm kind of glad.
They might have. They must have.
I can't remember.
I haven't seen a Transformers in years.
I'm Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats, reminding you that kids are not allowed to drink anything with alcohol in it.
So when you messaged me a couple of weeks back, I was like, shit, I better watch some of these because I haven't seen them. They could be like really wrong now. Like I haven't seen them for years. So I thought, well, I'll put a couple on. And then my son's 8, my youngest.
Oh, cool.
I was like, right, like, you've got to watch this. Big it up. Obviously, the intro is like, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then instantly be like, why are they all naked, Dad? And I'm like, oh, that is a good point. Why are they naked? I don't know how to answer this.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's the beauty of it, though.
Like, okay,
you don't know how to answer it. It's just like the typical answer is it was the 80s. That's my
Bluey's thing, isn't it? Have you seen the Bluey episodes where they're like, we just, like nobody's wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
It was the 80s.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
There's that episode of Bluey when they go back to the 80s and they're sort of on the BMXs, and then there's the mother as a child comes into the end dressed as She-Ra, and I'm the 48-year-old bloke going, she's dressed as She-Ra, and my kids are like, what's a She-Ra?
That was amazing, isn't it? I know.
Yeah, but it's so that's a good point because I caught up with the first 2 episodes because they're the ones I remember the most. And that's what I mean about like explaining the lore. Because if you go into say like Masters Universe, there's no origin, boosh, straight in.
Yeah,
it's a story. It's like obviously Transformers they sell their origin in like a 5-parter, and Thundercats was the same. It was originally the first 5 episodes were like almost like a 5-parter.
Yeah,
and they put it together to explain the whole of the lore, and it's like literally the first 5 minutes, a planet explodes, and then and Jagger is telling like, we're on this ship with all these nobles, and he explains who each character is.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he hands them clothes and weapons, and then it's like, right, let's go. And I was like, that's genius, absolute genius. There's no messing around.
Yeah, that was the pilot, isn't it? This was the first episode
Yeah.
of the pilot, and you could tell it's just like, we'll just explain everything in one go, and let's get it
Yeah.
out of the way, and then
Yeah.
nobody can. But if you missed that, you're kind of screwed for the next few, because you're like, what? Okay. But
Yeah.
again, 80s, the way it was organized, you knew it was good v evil, so
Yeah.
you didn't really need it, like, ultimately. But yeah, I remember, and I can't remember when it was on. I'm trying to think back, because obviously I used to love watching, like, Saturday mornings. You get up super early.
Yeah.
There'd be Mask, and then there'd be maybe Jace and World Warriors or something like that. And
Oh yeah.
there'd be loads of good stuff on Saturday morning. I think Thundercats wasn't on then. I'm sure it was on in the week, and it was after
that's
school.
right. Yeah, it was. So season 1 aired in America in 1985, sorry.
Yeah.
65 episodes, and then 2, 3, and 4 had 20 episodes after that. But
Okay.
BBC One had the first 2 episodes, which is Exodus and the Unholy Alliance, on the 2nd of January 1987. And
Right.
then
that makes sense.
episodes after that then were every Thursday until the end of October in 1987.
Right, that makes sense. Because I would have been, because I had a quick look, and I was like, well, 85, I would have been 5, so
Yeah.
there's no way I would have probably watched it. But yeah, being 7 and 8, yeah, definitely, I can see why I would have picked it up. And
And
after school as well, because
yeah.
I think we'd get home about, was it like 4 o'clock by the time we got a bus home and stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it would be perfect. You'd have, like I said, all these shows. I'd be about, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of solid shows of,
Yeah, that's right.
with a bit of Blue Peter mixed in. And you're like, oh, I wouldn't mind doing that, Tracy Island, or whatever it was. You're like, I'm gonna have a go with that. I'm gonna have a go with that puppy tonight. And then you'd be chasing people around for toilet rolls and stuff. And
Yeah. Fairy liquid bottles.
yeah. Just randomly asking your grandparents, like, if you save all your toilet. And then one day you'd go down there and they'd be like, got this huge bag of toilet rolls.
Who didn't need them, man?
Yeah, you're like, oh, we built a castle 6 months ago. I
Yeah.
don't need it now. Yeah.
Yeah, we had I think that's the bit that sticks out the most for a lot of this, is that particular window, that in from school to news round. When I was really young, and then
Yeah.
I had a similar conversation on one of the episodes, because as you got older, then it was the window, and then it was like it was the choice between Home and Away or Neighbours. Do you catch the first quarter hour of Home and Away and then flip over, or do you just say forget Home and Away and go Neighbours? I was always Neighbours.
I was always Neighbours as well.
And then you get a little bit older again, and then you'd go past Neighbours, and then it was the flick over to BBC Two for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah.
So that was always a really nice, a daily window of shows just for us. Like you said, no streaming, no on demand. That was our window to watch something cool, like.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I kind of feel sorry for kids nowadays that they haven't got a particular window, because then it's that thing of like, oh, what am I going to watch? I'm just going to put something on, and I'm gonna let it play.
Yeah. I know. It's just so much choice, and it's unbelievable now when you look at it. Like, there's just an obscene amount of choice, because my kids have, we have Netflix, Disney Plus, obviously we have all the Sky channels, and then, but they'll still gravitate towards YouTube.
Yeah.
Watch something like absolute junk on YouTube, and I'm like, why are you watching this? And I'm like, because it's screaming at you, and they got to do this, and this is amazing, and you're like, oh my god, why are they watching this?
I know.
So yeah, and I try and sort of wean them off and go, oh, come and watch it. Like you said, I try to watch like Thundercats with them, and they're like, yeah, it's okay, and and then they're clicking over to watch some guy make a really bad Lego character from the K-pop, from like K-pop series now, and I'm like, why are you watching this? How is this any better?
No, that's just completely right. It's I got exactly the same issue. It's like I compared it to Back to the Future 2. when Marty's kid comes in and he puts like 7 different episodes on at one of whatever, 7 screens, and just lets it play as he's doing something else. That's all it is. It's just ambient screaming at you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how I would be as a kid now. I don't know how I would. I mean, I suppose I would be like everyone else. So I'm kind of. They don't know any different. They don't, they don't know the way we had it. It's like when my parents used to talk about, watching the Wooden Tops as kids, and only having TV on for like 5 minutes every week or whatever. And I'm like, oh, Dad, you're so old. What are you on about? That never worked. And now my kids are saying exactly the same stuff to me. So,
Yep.
Circle of life now.
It is a circle, unfortunately. Yeah.
Faso was right. So,
I need a T-shirt with that on.
Yeah, Mufasa was right. With a Rafiki shaking his hand in the sky. I was looking at the production and the show, and I don't like. So I was just wanting to see. I've never gone that deep on how these shows were made, or any sort of production stories until I started, really researching for the podcast. And they've got a couple of key players that kind of like circulate around that era of television production.
Yeah.
And the main ones were these that it came from Rankin Bass, which I didn't know until a couple of weeks ago. I didn't realize, and like I started thinking, well, obviously I know Rankin Bass because they are Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Reindeer, and they were looking for something to syndicate because they could see that Transformers and Masters of the Universe and things like that were really coining it in, and so they were actively looking to get something across, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't find something until this concept came along,
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
they work a lot with Japanese studios then as well. So
that's right.
they brought in I think they're called Topcraft or something like that. I think they were the
Topcraft,
first.
that's
Who
right.
did the first season and or did the intro, and yeah, just the quality. You could see the quality in it as well. So I think they did.
Yeah.
They did a Miyazaki film as well. I can't remember which one. It might be
I don't know.
Nausicaa.
Well, I think they did. So Topcraft did The Hobbit, Flight of the Dragon, and The Last Unicorn with Rankin Bass.
Yeah.
And then they went bust then mid-80s.
Yeah.
And the workers sort of split. And so 70% of them went and formed Studio Ghibli, sorry.
Yeah.
Where Miyazaki being one of those, obviously. And then the remainder then set up Pacific Animation Corporation. And those are the guys then who went on to produce Thundercats and a few other bits with Rankin Bass. And like you said, that's where the quality shows, because I would say out of all those shows we've already mentioned in the 80s, animation wise, these were the best, I thought, in terms of quality.
Yeah, definitely. I think, well, like I said, greatest intro ever. And it was really difficult because obviously when you think about TV series animation, they are lower budget. So, like to try and do big scenes and lots of animation, especially character animation, is always a struggle. It's like you saw lots of the other series would do almost stills and just pan the camera across, and you'd have the voiceover and stuff, and to try and get through the volume of like frames they needed. But this tried to push that, so you'd have shots that were, had a lot more action in them. But again, they would lean into the kind of anime side of it, where they, it'd be quite simple animation but really dynamic looking.
Yeah.
So but you kind of triggered something in my nostalgia when you said about the VHS and stuff. And I do remember there was a shop around the corner. It was a bit of a walk, so we used to, take us like 20 minutes to walk to it. But yeah, the joy of walking into that place and seeing like these just rows of VHS covers, and obviously they're like that thick as well. But like, because I was only small, they were like this big.
Yeah.
So you're just looking at me like, okay, and it'd just be Stallone on something or something random. But yeah, just that feeling of just looking through and going, right, I want to see this.
Yeah, that was the beauty, I thought, of VHS in general, and the way that they was sold in those days was you would go, and so I would have seen, say, Thundercats on TV or whatever, and you'd go looking to see if you could get on, which, you'd be lucky if you could.
Yeah,
But there would be something that looked fairly similar, whether it's in style and that kind of opened up, like a wider, like it opened up a gate basically to seeing more things that obviously you wouldn't see that on telly, and like having a chat with one or two people on these episodes. So I thought I had seen Action Force on TV. I thought I had seen Visionaries on TV. And looking then, none of these things had been broadcast on British
I think
TV.
no, Visionary.
No,
I thought that was.
no, all VHS. All VHS.
Maybe that's what I saw it then.
Visionaries might have been later on one of the Sky, or the early Sky B stuff.
Right, okay, maybe.
But no, all on VHS. And that was, like, it's a running gag now. There's a guy who used to come around where I live called Lawrence, and he was Lawrence the video man, and he'd
Yeah.
have a Ford Estate, and he'd pull up, beep the horn, crack the estate, and he'd rent out 50 pence for 3 nights. And so, like, you'd be picking stuff, or, I'd always get the same thing. My grandfather would get, like, karate films, and war films and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the thing that the shows and mostly Japanese shows that I discovered was all because of some guy driving around in a Ford Estate,
Yeah, we had the same. He had a little mini van, a little Japanese mini van. I can't remember what it was, but it was tiny. But the door would open at the back, and you could easily push this thing over. It felt like it was so small, you could just like roll it over down the street if you wanted to. But yeah, I remember opening it. It would just be like, I'm sure light used to shine out of it. Don't know why. It was just that
music playing.
Yeah, exactly, harps and stuff. And then yeah, it was just like amazing, just looking through it. But trying to decide as a kid was the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Because you weren't looking at the back and reading stuff. You were just like, that looks amazing. That looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then you'd make some horrible choices.
Oh God, yeah.
And they were like, oh,
yeah. Yeah, cover
but
art.
you'd stick with it because you said like, I really want that, and then your parents are like,
Yeah.
you sure you want to watch this? And you're like,
I paid 50 pence for that. You're gonna watch that till the end.
I'm in. Yeah, I'm in. Yeah.
One of the best days, and I can remember it, like you said, Blair, I can remember it as clear as anything, was the day that Lawrence upgraded the Ford Estate for he had bought a second-hand library van.
Oh.
And he pulled it into the top of the street and beeped the horn, and seriously, the horn was different. And you went out, and it even had, like, Llyfrgell on the end.
Yeah.
And he hadn't even bothered to print that out, and then he, like, rolled the doors back, and it was just like 10 times more video choice. It was amazing.
Epic.
I know. But it's and that's how that's how I discovered things as a kid. So and I tell that story because what I didn't know until I read yesterday was that in Britain we never had series 2 of the Thundercats broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a Thundercats Ho the movie, which was on VHS, which felt like a feature to me at the time, but it was just the first 5 episodes of the second series stitched together and sold on a VHS. And I had no idea. I thought we had seen everything. So there's episodes of Thundercats that I've never seen.
Yeah, I know. I was like, because obviously, like I said, I shit myself when he was like, "Yeah, do you want to do this?" I'm like, "Oh God, I better watch a few." And there's a couple I'm like, I don't remember this at all. And then I went on and looked at just like an overview, a series overview.
Yeah.
There's bits, and I'm like, I don't remember that character. What was that character? It's so random. So yeah, like I said, there's probably loads that I'd missed and not even realised to this day.
Yeah, well, they introduced like 3 new Thundercats, and this is terrible now because I've forgotten the one, but it was Pumaira, who was another female Thundercat, and there was Bengali, who was basically Tigra, but white fur.
Yeah.
And there was like a balding sort of older.
Clever stuff, Chitara, but not as clever as this.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with my cousins. So I had 2 older cousins. They were like 1 year and then 2 year older. So obviously they would always get to see like they got to see Star Wars and like that stuff. So it would always trickle down to me. So I'd go to their house and they were always at ours. But yeah, I'd get to see stuff that, looking back, like I don't know how the hell I got to watch some of that stuff because yeah, it was the 80s.
Yeah,
That's all I'm gonna
exactly. There we
say.
go. Ask
But
another T-shirt to this.
yeah, but I think because we like three boys, this stuff was just amazing to us. So we would
Yeah.
like everything from like we'd always like be in character as well. So if we were ever playing, like okay, I'm gonna be like my oldest cousin was always Mr. T because he was like built like a brick shit house. So he was always the bigger character, the big chunky character, the muscle, and then my middle cousin would be like the more kind of suave or smarmy or intelligent one. So he'd be that one, and then I'd have to be like whoever. So I'd either be like Hannibal Lecter or Lion, or I'd be one of the middle characters. So he was, yeah. I just all
Excellent.
remember that stuff. Like growing up, we were always into like so much stuff. The Star Wars was amazing. Like I said, He-Man we loved as well. So we always played those characters, and they'd always be around. You'd be building forts in the house, and my mother would be, come in and be like, "What the hell have you done to all the furniture?" I'm like, "Just building a fort. This is Castle Grayskull or whatever." We're kind of fighting fighting these imaginary things. Always.
I remember you said about Street Talk earlier, because I loved Street Talk as a kid, and I remember my mother finding some old cardboard boxes and building like this sort of ramp for you could have a little wind up Street Talk toy, and then it would just shoot forward, and
Yeah.
that was it. That was me for days, just a toy in a cardboard box,
Yeah, and it was probably like Evel Knievel, but just somebody's resprayed it.
Yeah, it's just sprayed black with silver stripes
Yeah,
down the side.
exactly. Take his cape
Brilliant.
off.
And looking at the key players for this, so you had Rankin Bass being the production company, and then Pacific Animation Corporation being the animation production house. You had the toy manufacturers then, which were LJN. Now, I've not heard of those. Like when you say Kenner toys, you think of Star Wars, and when you think of Hasbro, you think of Transformers and Mattel and things like that. But I've never heard of LJN, and I've not heard of anything that they've done since. But it was of Rankin Bass, it was Jules Bass and Lee Danaher who were the producers, and they stayed on as consultant producers for the length of the show. But it was a guy called Stan Weston who was he worked for a licensing agency called Leisure Concepts Incorporated. So they were the guys who were basically putting the money into this then. And Stan Weston was the original creator of G.I. Joe.
Oh wow.
So that's a hell of a stamp to put on it straight away. Obviously, they've picked the right guy there in terms of toy production and synergy with cartoon animation and things like that. And he went to a guy then called Ted Wolfe, and it was Ted Wolfe that conceived the idea for Thundercats. So he had this ideas brewing about like a set of humanoid cat-like people, who had superpowers, and it was his initial idea that sparked everything. He did some sort of lo-fi concept artwork for the show, which they took then to get further funding. But then they brought a guy called Mike Jermakian on, who was a concept artist, and he's the one then who really shaped into the way that it looks now. He designed the logo. He made them like more muscular, more sort of superhero proportions, And then the last of the lot then was they brought a guy called Leonard Starr on, who was like a comic creator, an acclaimed comic author by the sounds of it. And he then became the lead writer and the story editor for the length of the show. And that thing that we alluded to earlier about the law being set out almost immediately, I do feel like that having someone with a background in comic book writing, that's probably how it became such a kinetic entrance into the show. It's like he really just knew how to handle getting into a story quickly.
Yeah, and I think that intro, you're talking about the intro now, was for me. I think they just threw everything away and they were like, we don't need to put all the story into this.
Yeah.
We just need to just make something. And I think that's the animation studio as well, because they probably realized
Yeah.
like we haven't got the budget to do all this amazing shit at the start, that we're
Yeah.
going to do at the start. So let's just throw it in, and this is our kind of calling card then for the next stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think they threw everything at that, and then into the series, they probably just realized like we just don't have the budget to like carry this through. But yeah, for me, it's just that even that before it even starts, you have this like synth roar at the start. It's like,
Yeah.
and that like instantly gives me like goosebumps because it transports me straight back to that time. And yeah,
It's
I
got
don't,
that intro. Sorry, it's got that feeler you get from anime of speed. When
yeah,
Chitara's running and when Tiger's like teleporting and it's just so fast and kinetic. It's just
yeah.
absolutely, yeah. It's definitely up there in my favorite cartoon introductions of all time. Certainly, the theme is in my top 3.
Yeah, and it's the way they handles all the characters as well. I love the way that you have that bit where it blends all the characters like pop in and then they're looking up to the screen left, and you're
Yeah,
like, and they just all jump in that way, and it's so nice. And then everything's
yeah,
just blends in really nice, and it's perfectly timed to the music. It's just hits every kind of cue,
yeah.
and like I said, it's so dynamic, and the compositions are just nailed every shot.
And it's got I would say, one of the most iconic cartoon villains
Yeah,
of all time. Like I feel Mumra is up there with Skeletor in terms of just absolutely brilliant villain. Perfect antithesis to the Thundercats.
And wherever evil exists,
yeah. I don't know why everybody had to be so buff though. Why
Yeah.
he could have easily stayed and been this kind of scary, mummy that, had these powers that, made him
I
stronger than he
reckon,
looked.
yeah, there's something there really for why so many people in their 50s at the moment have got body dysmorphia, because
Yeah.
we had all these buff cartoon characters and film stars when we
Yeah.
were kids. So,
Yeah. I know, yeah. I look like I got dad bod, but inside I'm like a
oh
300
yeah, yeah,
pound muscle beefcake.
yeah, 100% similar.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it must have messed us up as kids. Like looking back, because like every character, like in nearly every series, was like insanely buff.
Well, yeah, I mean, coming into Thundercats, it's like, oh, finally a villain. Look at him. Look at him. He's like, he's
Yeah,
old. He's decrepit, and then all of a sudden he rips his cloak off, and he's
yeah.
he's
He's
Arnold
like eight
Schwarzenegger.
foot. Yeah, he's 8 foot
Yeah.
and he's ripped. Yeah, and all the characters are like that. It's brilliant. I don't know why they do it, but yeah, it's almost like that era. Like
Yeah,
they had to make everybody buff.
it was the 80s.
80s, long live the 80s.
There was the villains, because obviously there was Mumra, who was on Third Earth when the Thundercats arrived, and there was the mutants from Plunder,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
were the immortal enemies, and they had basically chased them across the galaxy to Third Earth.
yeah.
And there were 3 in particular, the main ones, and they were brilliant. Again, up there with villains. There was Slythe, the
He
sort
was
of
amazing.
the reptilian guy, and then there was Jackalman, who is one of those guys who, again, completely named on the nose. I can imagine at the birth of Jackalman, what are we going to call him? Jackalman.
I'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then there was Monkey, who was my favorite.
yeah,
He was my favorite of them all. And I loved his voice. I loved he would like, that's just full on,
yeah.
brilliant. And they were comic relief. They were evil, but they were the Beastman, Merman, Trapjaw to Mumra's Skeletor, basically, when they.
look at this place. A jackal wouldn't eat in this mess. Then go, Monkeyan, go! And do not come back without a few likely specimens. A woman's touch is what's needed here.
Yeah, and like what I always forgot that, or just didn't realize at the time was like nobody actually got hurt. Nobody
No,
died.
no.
Like they've all got swords and they're all fighting and they're blowing each other up, but nobody got injured. Nobody
Yeah,
lost a limb. Nobody like there was no actual proper threat in it when you look back. And this was the same across everything. Like you watch A-Team,
yeah. Oh,
and
I was just in my head now.
yeah, they were firing like cabbages, of people. You're like, what?
Yeah.
How did that work? And like,
How come
things
that?
would blow
Yeah.
up and like, and then everybody'd run off.
Yeah, truck
And
would always end up on the roof. Nobody even had a glass scratch or anything like that.
yeah. And they'd have these epic fight battles. They both like swinging swords around, and then they go, I give up, and they run away.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah. Like looking back now, you're like, that's so rubbish. Like you watch stuff now, and everybody's like losing
Oh
an arm
God.
or a leg, and
Yeah.
it's being cut in half, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow,
Well, Christ,
okay, cool.
you watch half the stuff the kids are watching on YouTube, and there's blood spurting out of everything at some point.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's changed because what were we watching the other day? Oh, K-pop.
Yeah.
And they literally cut in every like demon in
Yeah.
half, and like it's really graphic. And I'm like, is it fine because they're not human, so you can kind of get away with it? And
They do
like,
use that a lot. It's the same with when it was Ninja Turtles, and they didn't want them slicing things open, like like they did
yeah,
the foot. So that's how the foot became robots rather
yeah,
than just ninjas. So they could slice up robots left, right, and center. There's no worries.
yeah, get away with
But
it.
yeah, and obviously that they didn't do that so much in this. And
Yeah, they didn't do any of that. I don't think any of the
no,
early '80s shows had any kind of like it was violent because people were like, oh my god, it's really violent. But then when you actually watched it, it was
yeah,
like,
well, the only death that comes to mind and wasn't even a death by combat was Jaga dying
yeah,
and doing an Obi-Wan Kenobi
exactly, yeah, just
before he
vanishing.
woke up. Because that was rewatching that. That was the bit that sticks out for me. Was there's this guy and he's obviously his mentor figure. They never explained how he could just suddenly come back,
Yeah,
non-corporeal from the dead. There wasn't even the force to
yeah,
explain it. It was just a thing. And
yeah,
but it works, It's like because I think the main story concept behind this from the beginning, and it never really occurred to me that much when I was a kid watching it, but now as an adult watching it back, was the fact that Lion-O was a kid in a buff person's body.
yes, yeah.
Because he had aged a couple of like 10 years in the cryo chamber in the journey.
Yeah.
And so when he popped out, he was suddenly like, 7 foot whatever, and his hands were like the size of cabbages. And but he still had the mind of a 14-year-old
Yeah.
cat
I
kid.
never understood that as a kid. Yeah,
No,
never. Only looking
I
back
didn't get
now,
that.
I realized that. And then, yeah, what I also didn't realize is like, obviously Django puts the ship on like autopilot, like just before he dies. And I'm like, why the fuck didn't he do that at the start?
Yeah.
Like, what? Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
explain
It's
that
fine.
one.
It's
And the
fine.
other thing that stood out to me as well was those guys had to go into cryo sleep to get there. And the minute that they get there and crash, the mutants turned up in the ship, and they were all looked exactly the
They were
same.
fine.
Now, don't get me wrong, mutants. I don't know how mutants age. I don't know if they had their own cryo chambers or anything.
Why don't you know
But
this? Why?
yeah, I know. I should have researched that side of it a bit more, really. But they were absolutely fine, and
Yeah, it was
so
totally fine.
yeah, didn't
I
think of
love the
that
fact that they
over.
turned up straight away as well, like instantly the
Yeah,
same
like
place, exact same
yeah,
place.
boosh. There we are. These guys crash landed there because it
Yeah,
was the only place they could go. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but I don't care because it was the 80s, and so
Exactly, and as a
it
kid,
all
like this stuff now,
yeah.
like my boy watches stuff, my girls
Mm.
watch stuff as well, and I'm like, oh, this makes no sense. Like,
Yeah,
but then I get it because like the budgets and stuff and the time
yeah.
scales, and you've got to get stuff done, and so I understand, like, especially when you're writing something, you're probably got to write stuff so quick nowadays.
Oh,
You
I
just got to
can
churn it
imagine.
out and try and like, oh yeah, we'll figure that out later. It was same as Star Wars. Like when you look back at Star Wars and he's trying to like get the newer episodes in,
Mm.
and then it's really hard to like say, okay, well, how did the technology jump and go backwards? And there's loads of stuff, there's loads of plot holes and stuff. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, well, don't worry about it, it's fine.
I'll explain that in a graphic novel 20 years down the line. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
George's
figure it out.
thinking.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Let's just cash it in now.
But it's that's the thinking between a lot, behind a lot of shows I find now these days. It's like they might do a pilot, but not, or they might start, see, like Lost, apparently they never had the idea of how Lost was going to end. So they would literally making it up season to season, just sort of trying to to sew things together into like a cohesive storyline.
Yeah. Well, Game of
And
Thrones
I
was the same as well, wasn't it? Game of
exactly,
Thrones was
yeah.
like, it was amazing, and then all of a sudden it started to fizzle out because
Yeah,
George
we've
hadn't
lost
kind
the
of
books.
we've caught up with George. So what the hell are we going to do now?
But I mean, like, like you said, the sheer amount, like, so they made 65 episodes. There's
Yeah.
65 stories that had to reset things at the end of every story for syndication reasons,
Mm-hmm.
And so there's only so many times Mumra can fail in a quest for victory, and so they had to find little pockets around this
Yeah.
third Earth then where Mumra wasn't involved, or he was kind of involved like in the background, and then bringing in new characters, which again is an expense because of the new voice actors or concept art, and so the fact that they made so many and they all felt fresh is a testament to the story writers,
And they're high
and
quality as well. We know that it takes a
yes,
lot of time to do that kind of animation. It's
yeah,
not something, it's not a South Park where it's like once
yeah,
you've got it into and it's quickly animated. These are hand drawn and takes a lot of work.
yeah, that's right. And it's so the one side of each episode I like to focus on are the voice cast, and around that time, especially because we've seen a lot of American shows as choices of guests, you see recurring voice actors across like a range of shows. But this is one of the few where they aren't sharing them so much. There's not really anyone that stands out from a lot of other of the popular shows. But Thundercats was renowned basically for having a large cast but serviced by just like 5 or 6 voice actors and actresses, and they shared characters. And again, completely, it blew my mind actually with who shared what characters, because there was so basically there was Lion-O, who was Larry, a guy called Larry Kenny, hadn't done a lot of popular shows, but he was most well known for being the voice of Count Chocula in America commercials. But he also did the voice of Jackalman.
Oh, did he?
Now,
Wow.
and now that I know that, and I was watching the episode earlier, you can hear it.
Really?
And that's
Wow.
and I didn't realize that. So the guy who did Mumra's voice was a guy called Earl Hammond, and he also did Jagger's voice. And then there was a guy called Bob McFadden who did Snarf and Slithe.
Did he? Oh, wow.
Yeah, and a lot of guest characters. Peter Newman did Tigra, Wily Kit, and my favourite Monkeyan. And then there was the voice of Panthro was a guy called Earl Hyman, and the name was familiar. So when I IMDb'd him, he was the chap who played Bill Cosby's father in the Cosby Show, which is why that's the main one that sticks out to me, as I've heard that voice before.
So, I face the great Panthro. I am not impressed, Panther.
You're no work of art yourself, you scaly reptile.
And then because there was only the one female actor, Lynn Lipton, she did Chitara and Wily Kit, and she did the voice for every single female character that appeared in the show.
Wow.
Scared? I'll show you scared.
That's mental, isn't it? It's like literally 6 to cover 60. That's 65 episode initial run.
Yeah.
But it makes complete sense, though, because like I don't know if you've seen it or heard it. There's a really funny, not safe for work video on YouTube of a behind the scenes recordings of episodes where the bloopers is a lot of swearing, and then they've put it to animation. I don't know if I'll put the link in the comments. I'll send you that link, though.
Please.
but it's out there if you look for it, audience. It's hysterical to hear these characters cussing. It's just, is a great thing.
Oh my
like,
God.
But
Let's find the mega condenser. I'm saying that too fast. Let's find the mega condenser. Still going too fast.
What's wrong, Lion-O?
Here it is again.
yeah.
again.
But they all recorded together, so you can imagine that was, I don't know if a lot of that goes on now in more modern shows, or whether it's more, internationally and remote and stuff like that. But
Yeah, I think
they
certain
seem
shows
to have
they
a
do.
good.
Certain
Yeah,
shows
cool.
they definitely do. They try and get them in together because you get that, a bit of, if there's friction or if you get, back and forth, it's a lot easier to deal with. But yeah, I'm surprised there's only 6. That blows my mind.
Yeah, and then when after series 2, then when they introduced like a few more of the Thundercats, they did introduce a couple of extras, but it was still the core cast that did
Yeah.
all the extra voices,
And you said it was Snarf and Sly as well. That
Snarf and Slythe, yeah. And
that's
once
so
you
different.
know it, and you listen, and you know it as you listen, you can hear
Yeah.
it, because Snarf, obviously puts that voice on, and Snarf, and it's like,
Yeah, it was really
it's quite annoying. Yeah, he's up there with Weasel from Animals of Farningwood in levels of annoyance, I think. But yeah, and then you listen to Slythe, and you can hear the mannerisms in the voice,
Wow.
and the way
Just
that sorry.
I was just gonna say that's blown my mind. Just those 2
Yeah,
characters
awesome.
alone is like, it's such a big difference in them.
Yeah.
I generally thought that would be some, Slide would be some, I don't know, big American guy that's, smokes cigars and drinks all day and is like, yeah, I'm gonna come in and just do this for you today, and then we'd walk off and just, only do his part, and then you wouldn't see him again.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's
that's
crazy.
amazing.
That tiger and a monkey in for me, that's the one. That's like a monkey, like I said, is my favourite. And you can completely hear tiger in him now, so I don't know if that's ruined it for me or not, but but it's brilliant. But that so the first season cost $15 million to make.
Wow.
Which, yeah, for 65 episodes of, like you said, high quality
It's high-end,
television. Yeah. And
That's 80s as well. 80s money. That's
yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
That's
And
a
it
lot
was
of
the
money.
first show of that size to be written and voiced in the US but animated in Japan, because obviously the
Okay.
cultural differences between that then, of animation being entirely directed in Japan
Yeah.
to American voices. I can imagine I don't know if there would have been any friction, but I wonder what sort of cultural misunderstandings there might have been between what was being said and what was being animated, But
Yeah.
what was the other thing?
But it's just like lip syncing. Like when we are doing lip syncing and we got to do it for like another language or something like that, it's always
Yeah.
tricky. Obviously, we do Welsh, so not all the team speak Welsh. So
Yeah.
just trying to get an idea of what the mouth shapes are and stuff. I know it's weird. Like I can't remember so many episodes, but I'm like, what was the lip syncing like? I'm sure it was pretty good from memory.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was pretty good. Tell you what, it was a lot better than Masters of the Universe, because
Yeah.
I've been going through footage now with my animator's head on, isn't it? And there's there's a hell of a lot of missing. It just misses it completely. But you're not focused on it because there's so much kinetic motion around it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they nailed it on this. They're really good.
Yeah, well, that would have been really tricky, wouldn't it? Because they would have had to have animated that in Japan. So, and in the 80s, I'm sure obviously a lot of Japanese would have been speaking English even then. But yeah, it still would have been tricky culturally as well, like you said, because it's a huge difference. Huge difference.
Yeah. It's like I've animated I'm not a Welsh speaker, unfortunately, and I've animated to Welsh dialogue, and even I've even having a translation there to what they say, and so you understand the body mannerism and stuff like that is absolutely fine, because Welsh and English are fairly intrinsically linked, but saying something like saying an American slang term or whatever, and then not being able to understand it from a cultural aspect would have been an interesting challenge. I think I certainly would like to know more about that, actually.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Maybe we need a trip to Japan.
Oh, I'm in. I'm there.
And well, the crazy thing when I was doing a bit of research was the one of the animators on the first series is actually now, I think he's like the key animator or director for a thing called Beyblade X, which my son
Oh,
loves
yeah.
at the minute.
Right.
And I'm like, this guy's been going like 40 years, and he's been or 30 years, and he's
Wow.
now doing shows that my son loves. And it's
That's
like,
amazing.
wow,
Huh?
how cool is that?
Yeah.
Just
It's a
stumbled on it
generational thing.
just stumbled on like actually he's working on this stuff, which my son absolutely loves at the minute. And again, it's
Brilliant.
very much like it's very dynamic. Lots of it's like Pokemon mixed with or is it like a fight scene type thing? You know, where you have to come
Right.
together and fight each other and stuff. And yeah, it's quite dynamic.
Yeah,
But yeah,
sounds
it's just
pretty cool.
blew my mind that he was working on the same. He's done obviously the first season of Thundercats.
Yeah, that's fair play. It's so they made 130 episodes over four series, and it was cancelled in 1989. And then in 2009, IGN named Thundercats as the 49th best show in the top 100 best animated TV shows. I would have pushed it higher
Wow,
personally.
that should be so much higher.
And then 2011, there was a reboot. Did you ever watch that?
I'd never watched that. No, I
Mm,
remember bits about it because I love the studio that it came from, as if
mm,
4C. And yeah, they do an amazing work. But yeah, I don't remember watching it at all.
mm.
I think I probably got excited about it. I remember getting excited about the second one that came out. Thundercats Roar, is it the one that was
Yeah,
like really playful?
yeah,
I remember getting excited about that, thinking, "Oh, this could be really fun," and then
yeah,
it wasn't great.
yeah,
And then my kids now are watching Teen Titans,
yes.
and there's an amazing episode in Teen Titans where they're all getting excited because they're all massive Thundercat fans, the original series. Have you seen this one? Have you
No,
seen it?
no, no.
It's amazing. It captures
Brilliant.
it captures me sitting in that space right then, and I was like, so they again, all the cats are getting really excited about Thundercats because they're huge like original fans. They're all dressed up and they're like, oh, it's the best thing ever. We're gonna watch this. It's a new season in Thundercats Raw, and it comes on, and they're like, what the fuck is this? And they're outraged. They're outraged, and they're like, right,
Awesome.
we need to send a letter and get a petition to Warner Bros. And say like they need to stop this show, cancel because it's like smearing the Thundercats and stuff. And it's amazing. It's hilarious because I found out then is that the executive producer on Thundercats Raw is also the exec producer
Yeah,
on Teen
yeah,
Titans, and
yeah.
it's like it's honestly it's so funny. They just
Oh, they
nailed
very
it.
much share the DNA, those two shows, don't they,
Yeah, but it's hilarious. It's so well written, and
I'll
it's
have to
written
find
like
that.
so much higher than an adult. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
adult kind of comedy, and it's hilarious. And they're just they're outraged. But then Lionel and stuff, the original characters come into the end. I'm spoiling this for you, but it's
Oh,
honestly
no.
you got to watch it. It
Yeah,
is
I'm going to find that for sure.
funny shit. It's really funny. It just
That's
nailed it though.
brilliant.
It was literally like where I was when it came out. I was like, this is not what I was expecting. Oh, okay,
Yeah, I
but
think I
yeah, they
caught
nailed
like
it.
one episode of it.
Yeah.
And, I was just like, I can see how we could get an audience, but, I got my Thundercats, kids got
Yeah,
their Thunder,
exactly.
but it
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
obviously, it
I
never
loved the
took.
animation as well. Like I
Yeah.
loved it. It's really funky and cool, and I loved
Mm.
that the character styles. But it's like, yeah, that's not Thundercats though.
Yeah.
Like, just
I like,
name me
I
something
like
else.
that yeah, exactly. I like that they still sort of tie in with the franchise. Because,
Mm,
again, a question I tend to ask is, could this show work now? Like, could this find an audience now? And I personally feel I think it absolutely could, in terms
mm,
of it's got a rich lore, it's got great characters, great villains. You could completely tell that story now in the same way that they did Masters of the Universe Revelations and the new
yeah, yeah, yeah,
She-Ra
yeah.
series and things like that. I 100% confident that they could. I'd love to see it,
Yeah. And there's
because it
an
keeps
audience there
threatening.
as well.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think it completely could work because they keep threatening a movie, don't they? And
Mm,
it's I think I personally would rather see a rebooted series than a movie.
mhm.
But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about a Thundercats movie. Seeing these guys in like, live action or hyper realistic CG. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh, I saw I can't remember who it was. A couple of years back, somebody done a couple of the characters in Unreal Engine, but
Mm,
just nailed it. Like I remember seeing Panther and going, "Oh my God, that is like just nailed it." I would love to see
mm.
that as a like a high-end CG show,
Well,
or
yeah, yeah, a CG show. Yeah, yeah. Like in the style. I know it's a thing, but Spider-Verse or Ninja
mm,
Turtles Mutant Mayhem or something like that. I know
mhm,
there was. I think it was 3-4 years ago. Adam Wingard, the guy, I think he did the Godzilla Kong films. I think he had some sort of production in going, whether it was like early pre-production or a script going, but then it went
mhm.
quiet then, and I've not seen or read any more about a feature film, so
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
think
think globally everything's gone a bit quietly, hasn't it? With like
yeah,
commissions, and I was at the, at
yeah,
the Screen Summit a couple of weeks back, and I think the first panel was something like, "Is TV dead?"
mm.
And you're like, "Oh God, okay, is this where we
I
are?"
hope not.
Like it is. I know, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
But like, and everybody's saying like, "Oh, you need to be digital first, so you need to be putting stuff on YouTube." And it's like, well, how does that mechanism work now? Because
yeah,
like, if you want to do a high-end show, if you want to do
yeah.
CG or 2D
Where's the money
animation,
come from?
you need that money up front. You can't just
Yeah,
make it and like not pay anybody and go, "Oh, we'll make it big in 4 years' time when it hits the audience when we need it."
yeah,
So yeah, it's a tricky one at the minute. I don't know how a lot of stuff is getting made, because lots of
yeah,
commissioners of like, we know there's lots of commissioners being kind of made redundant, and I think it's only like BBC commissioning mainly at the minute for series.
yeah. 'Cause
So
even
yeah,
Sky Kids has gone, haven't they?
mm, so yeah, I think the world has changed a little bit. So I don't know. Maybe there's more brands are going to start coming in, and like you said, maybe if
Yeah,
like toy manufacturers go, actually, we need this TV series to obviously do the merch. Maybe
yeah,
that's where we're going, or brands, like maybe Apple or somebody start coming in and going, yeah, well, we want a character that uses all of our Apple products throughout the
yeah,
series. I don't know. I just feel like
yeah. No,
that's
that's
where
a
we
good
might be
call.
heading,
Yeah,
somewhere like
yeah,
something kind of more branded, or something that they'll just happily stick their name to it. They might not
yeah,
touch the series, like not have products in it and stuff, but they might be like, yeah, this show shares the same values as our Nike running shoes. I don't know.
yeah.
I got a
That's
feeling
it.
that's where
Yeah,
we're going.
you see such large um stagnant periods between TV show release, series, like
Yeah.
this, they'll put them out there and they'll wait to see what the audience is like, and then if they're not getting the
Mm.
audience they think they're going to get after like 2 episodes, they'll be like, don't make any more. Whereas,
Yeah.
as we know, a lot of these shows from that we watched as kids would be, they'd be like one, maybe two series before they even consider. They'd
Yeah.
have that syndicated 65 episodes out there,
Yeah.
bringing
And we
people
and
in,
we had
just
to wait
constant
as well.
repeats. Yeah,
Yeah, and we had to wait for this stuff. Like I
yeah,
remember, like watching an episode of something, anything like in the 80s. You're like, well, I need to watch this now, and you'd have to wait another week. You'd have to,
yeah,
get up early on Saturday morning to watch the next Mask or whatever it was.
yeah,
But yeah, you don't get that, and that's very rare now, where you get like limited releases, and yeah, the
yeah,
whole
that's right.
streaming business is a bit of a. It's really hard to like stand out in front.
Yeah, yeah, it's like throwing sand against the wall, and it's like,
Yeah.
is any of it gonna stick before we have to move on to the next attempt?
Hmm. But then you look at like Japan, and they've got amazing ways that they
Mm.
build stuff up. They do their manga, they do the comics and all that
Yeah,
stuff, and then that builds into the show. They've got a really big audience. Then they get commissioned and work on it that way.
yeah,
So the comic book series and all that is the bit that's generating the early development money
yeah.
to get them into that production,
No,
and
that's
they
right,
just got a
and
really nice
yeah.
ecosystem.
Yeah, and that goes full circle. It goes full circle back to shows like
Mm,
this where, they were toys, and so they
mhm,
backed them up by comic books and TV shows, And that's how, so if there wasn't something on the TV, you'd be reading about it in a comic, or you'd be playing with the toy. And, because the synergy of it was all at once, whereas now it's wait and see. And so,
Yeah.
I
get it. I
don't,
get it. It's just where we are at the minute, so everybody's kind
Yeah.
of risk averse,
yeah,
and everybody's looking at data. Data's always a critical thing, but
yeah,
sometimes you calm some things up in data, like that gut feeling, or that that essence of a show. Like you can't really
yeah,
sum that up in data. It might just be that it's just not hit the right audience, or it's not gone out at the right time, or it's not on the right
yeah,
platform. So it's really tricky nowadays. But yeah,
yeah,
there's just
spot on.
so much out there.
So,
But
like
yeah,
you've alluded to earlier, I'm assuming Thundercats in terms of theme tunes is in your top three.
yeah. I'm just thinking back. I just it just popped into my head how funny it must have been that we were running around the street shouting "ho" at everybody and pointing at them with a sword or whatever. Ho, ho! Like
I had the
that was a
sword. I
thing.
had the sword. You had
Ho.
the little light on it, and it would, as you
Yeah,
throw it, it would extend. I used to love that.
yeah, yeah. I had one where you could look through it, so it'd have like this
Ah,
weird thing where it'd have like
awesome.
what were those like kaleidoscopic like
Yeah,
things, and it'd do something weird when you look through it. And I was like, oh, this is so cool.
class.
My inner 8-year-old is like, yeah, just so excited about it.
Are there any other shows, other than things like Knight Rider and A-Team, are there any animated shows or kids TV shows that the themes are kind of like really up there for you?
I think Jason the Wheel Warriors, that
Oh,
start, that intro is
feeling that one.
amazing. Just how organic everything was. That's what I loved about it. Like I used to like try and draw them from memory, because obviously you'd watch stuff and then you wouldn't be able to see it again. It wasn't like you
Yeah,
could, unless you recorded it. You're like, shit, I can't remember what that was like. So you then I'd try and draw it, and I couldn't remember like what the shapes were like, or
yeah,
because one of them had like a huge like mouth plant eating
yeah.
thing on the
That's
back of it
right.
and stuff, and then it would transform, and I'm like, and I'd start drawing it, and then you draw something completely different. I'm like, okay, right, I got to watch it next week, and get my pad, I'll do whatever, and I'll draw it
Yeah,
properly,
same.
and just get excited. But yeah, it was so organic, and again, it was just the tempo,
Yeah,
the soundtrack, just the speed, like yeah, and it was so dynamic. I think all of those shows had lots of really amazing intros.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think yeah, what was that one? Was like Lone Star that we used to watch. Trying to think
Lone
back.
Star,
All the
yeah, that was a good one.
yeah,
Brave
yeah, yeah.
Star, Brave Star.
Brave Star, that was it. Brave
Yeah.
Star.
Powers of Pop, Wolf, Puma, and Bear. Protector of peace, mystic man from afar. Champion of justice, martial brave star. Brave Star.
Mask was just loved
Yeah.
it because it's like pure 80s. Just the technology. It's all so cutting edge. When you look back, you're like, this is terrible. But like at the time, it was like amazing. I'm trying to think. There was a couple of other ones that we used to watch, and just brings back amazing memories. Just like
It does, yeah.
being able to watch. I remember sitting like probably this close to the TV with my legs crossed, just 2 hours of not moving.
Oh God, there's a reason
And
I wear glasses, and it's not because I look at a computer every day.
yeah, I know, same.
Yeah, I think I've been, when I first started doing these, I didn't really have a top three. And then obviously as I've gone deeper into it, I definitely Thundercats top three easy. Jason the Wheel Warriors, 100%. And I'd probably put, as much as I love Transformers, I would probably go Mask as a theme tune over Transformers. Just
Same.
because, like you said, it's just that synth and the I love it. And it's,
I got up early Saturday morning to watch it, like, and it would be on at like maybe 7. Like, I'm sure it was
yeah,
like
it was
really
an early one.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I
because
like sometimes I'd stay down at my grandparents because my mother would work a Friday, so I'd be like, right, I'd stay down there. And then I just remember getting up and watch, like I'd have to be up. So like my grandfather'd always be up early because they had a coal fire, so he'd always be like,
yeah, fair.
hammering that every morning at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Like if he was on the Titanic, they would have cut straight through that iceberg. Honestly, the house was always absolutely boiling. But yeah, I
Amazing.
remember getting up really early, and he'd put the TV on for me, and just like I'd just love it.
Brilliant.
But yeah, there was loads of shows. I think like every show back then, though. But again, are we going to get that in like 20 years time when my son goes and my daughters go? Oh yeah, do you remember this show? And then we look back and go, oh yeah, I remember that. Because then it's like it's in my nostalgia cues of me watching the TV with them. So like we love Teen Titans at the minute, like that like crackers up. Obviously Bluey's a massive beast at the minute.
Yeah,
Like we're gonna look at that in like 20, 30 years time and go, that was an amazing epic show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be able to sing the theme tune.
Yeah, I think so. Like some shows are gonna entirely cut through, and some shows are generational. Like Peppa Pig now, that's generational. You know, it's been going for you know for long enough that children grew up watching it, now have children of their own, and they watch it with them because it's still going. I hope Bluey goes like that. I feel it will, the way that they are moving with it. Teen Titans is another one. You know, like I when my boy was younger, we used to watch Gumball, you know, and Regular Show, Gravity Falls, all those sort of things. So I hope that they will have, you know, a fondness for the stuff that they watched as younger. It's just that they are consuming it differently, different to the way that we did, you know, and so it'll be interesting. I wonder how my twins will be though.
20 years time.
Yeah.
Right. Do they watch different things, or they watch stuff together? How do they watch?
Oh, they together. Yeah, they'll bicker over what they're watching, but they've gone through the lot, you know, on YouTube. They've watched people unboxing stuff. They've watched people walking around Halloween stores in America. They've watched guys who will sit there and just shout at each other and then eat sweets. And I don't know. Now it's just, well, they're enjoying watching Strictly at the moment, so I'm not.
Wow.
They can get on with that one. I think I'll duck out of that one. Emlyn, I really enjoyed that today.
Really good.
I hope we unlocked some nostalgic memories for you.
Yeah, loads. Like you said, stuff I've locked away.
Yeah, well, I think it's nice for them to come out now and again, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is good to look back and see what got us into this industry, because we do a lot of CG, and so but I still love 2D hand drawn. It's just the pinnacle.
Yeah. I think I totally agree, because that's the stuff that we were fed on, you know, and so I mean we know that the amount of work it takes, even on a TV budget, to make something nice move well, you know. And I feel when I watch anything animated, I don't just watch, you know, the show gets me first, but then in my almost 30-year professional head, I'm thinking like, oh, that must have been difficult to draw that at that angle, you know, and that extra passion for animation sucks me in with it as well. Like.
Yeah, I mean, like last night, so we had Cardiff Animations in, and we had a thing in Caerphilly, and there was a student short on one of those, and it was epic. Like, it was so well done. Like, it's so dynamic, and like instantly just watching it, you're watching the story, but then I'm also just captivated by how amazing this person is who's animated it, and you're like, crap, how have they done that? How have they done that shot? You know, there's lots of wires and it's like really dynamic. It's all flowing around, and it's
brilliant,
epic. So yeah, it gets you in straight away. But like you said, sometimes the business head comes on. I'm like, oh, how did they do that? How have they done that shot? I love that composition, or I love this, and then it takes you out the story. And you're like, oh shit, I should be watching the story, or I should be listening to what's happening. And I get loads of like Pixar films and Disney films, and you start watching them, you're like, oh, how did they do the groom on that? Or look at the cloth simulation, and I'm like, what am I doing? Stop it.
I get that watching the Spider-Verse films, you know, and it's like, oh, how did they hit that? How did they hold that pose for so long and it still felt like it was moving? Yeah, it's just that's the animation nerd brain.
Can't help it.
No, I don't want to either. I'm happy with the way my brain works with animation. Thank you, Emlyn. Hopefully we'll do this again. I think I got a feeling
Yeah,
there's other
definitely.
shows that we could talk about for sure.
There's loads, yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
lovely to talk about everything. Good to
Yeah,
see you.
thank you, man. You too.